Welcome to Financial Strategies with Andrew Agemy in Connecticut and Daniel Agemy in Colorado.
1975, I remember when IRAs came out and they said, invest $2,000 in an IRA. And you'll save all this money now in taxes, and later on, you'll be able to take it out at a lower tax rate. They lied. I'm Andrew Agemy.
And I'm Daniel Agemy, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today, we're talking about firing your silent partner. AAA, that might sound like a pretty funny title, right? We don't say the whole name of the title, but we're gonna keep people guessing. We're firing your silent partner. You all have a silent partner, people listening out there, and maybe you know who it is, and maybe you don't know who it is. AAA. What are those things that you could put $2,000 a year into?
Yeah, well, back then there was $2,000 going into an IRA, a tax deductible IRA. And then as time has gone on, that number has increased, and then people are putting a lot of money into 401ks because it's tax deductible. It's not. They've gone out of the realm of being able to deduct it off their taxes, and now the best way for them to get the most bang for their buck with that deduction is through their 401ks. And it's always predicated with the idea that, well, you'll be in a lower tax bracket when you retire. And, that is not the answer. That has not happened, I found. I mean, sure, some people are in a lower tax bracket, but it's the exception rather than the rule. Back in 1975, when they were promoting that, they were promoting it because, they thought everybody's going to be in a lower tax bracket. But that's not true, because what I find today is that people are some are still in the same tax bracket when they retire, and some are actually in a higher tax bracket. And
so the government gave people a tax break, and basically they set up these things called IRAs, 401ks, and you can put money into them. And what most people have, especially if you're near or close to retirement, are traditional IRAs. So you put $2,000 a year into it, you got a deduction. That contribution limit for people over 50 has gone all the way up to $8,600. For 2026, it was $8,000, or it was $8,000 last year. Yeah. In 2025 and 2026, it's $8,600. So that $2,000, and the reason I keep using that $2,000 number, AAA, is because I hear people say it all the time. What are those things? Yeah, that you can put $2,000 a year into, but it's gone up since your story to now because of inflation. And so if you want to really get an idea of what's happened with inflation, don't look at the real numbers. Look at what you used to be able to contribute to an IRA and what you contribute to today, right?
Right.
But so you can put that money in, and you don't pay any taxes on it. You don't pay any taxes on it. It comes off of your earned income, so you get a tax break. But basically what it's doing is it's building up a time bomb, tax bomb, right, AAA?
Right. Yeah. And, and I just want to say, today, people don't really get into IRAs because, the limits for being able to have a tax deductible IRA are so low now that most people are making over that. And so that's why they use their 401ks. But it acts the same way, right?
It acts the same. It's different limits, but they work exactly the same.
Right. And Daniel, the funny thing is, I was around 1975 when they came out with those. And, they didn't start raising the $2,000 a year until this century, if my memory serves me properly. And, because they didn't come out with the Roth IRA until 1998 or somewhere in that vicinity. And so, when they set this in place in 1975, they thought it was a set and forget thing, but but it wasn't. They had to, inflate it for cost of living and for the people that, baby boomers that didn't save as much in their early years as they the government, so to speak, had thought about. But anyway, it's a real interesting thing. But the point is, the long and short of it is that you're building up a tax time bomb, like you said, Daniel, right?
Yeah.
And for some people, I saw recently somebody, it's not uncommon to find somebody with $2 million in a pre-tax account.
Right.
And that's a lot of money that they're going to have to take out when they hit their required minimum distribution age or whatever. But the point is, they take it out in whatever way, shape, or form they do, and it's 100% taxable. And the more they take out, the more taxable it is, unless they do some of those, unless they do something about it. And that's what we're talking about today, right? Is there's a time bomb going on with that. But I want to let you know, if you just joined us, you listen to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. And today's topic is fire your silent partner, fire your IRA silent partner, mastering Roth IRA contributions. And we have a paper that we'd love to give you today that goes along with today's show called Understanding Roth IRA Contributions versus Roth IRA Conversions. Right? They're two different things, contributions and conversions. But we want you to understand the difference, and we love to put this paper in your hand so that you can read it and be educated so that you can make smart decisions, because people don't know what people don't know. Do you want to know? Well, we want to tell you. So here's a paper. Call us at 800-725-7616 for your free copy, Understanding Roth IRA Contributions and Conversions. 800-725-7616 for your free paper. Call now. Daniel, this time bomb that's ticking, this tax time bomb, they left the money. It's beautiful to see your accounts grow, tax deferred, but then all of a sudden it's time to start taking money out, and your tax bill is not being helped at all. And we don't like that, right? We want to see people pay as little taxes as legally possible. And that's why we're doing today's show, right?
Yeah, AAA. A lot of people think that they own their IRAs outright. They think that that's their money.
Yeah.
But there's a silent partner who hasn't saved a dime of that money and who's going to take a cut of that money.
Right.
And that is the IRS, right? So basically, you've saved up. In your scenario, that person's got $2 million. Maybe they did it through a 401k as opposed to an IRA, or maybe it's combined. It's their IRA and their 401k.
Right.
And they're looking at their accounts and they're saying, I did pretty good. $2 million. I'm ready to retire. Well, if you were to take that all today, which we advise you don't, but if somebody was to take that all today, depending what state you live in, half of that is the government's, between federal and state.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And then it's like, well, what have I worked for all my life, right? And that's where people are asked the question, can I retire? Because they don't know. Just because you have $2 million in your, and how many times you see on the internet, oh, how much money do a 65-year-old needs $1 million, needs $2 million, whatever, to retire. Well, the part of that depends, is it taxable or is it tax-free? And what is it invested in? There's a lot of variables involved for when and if you can retire. But, this aspect of this tax time bomb is crazy. I mean, it's all great while it's growing. You're not paying taxes, and let's it multiply. But like you said, that silent partner is going to get a huge cut without ever having done anything except pass a law.
Yeah. Yeah. And AAA, we talk a lot on this show about known and unknown growth, right? There's two ways to invest. You can invest for speculative growth, where you hope next year your account will be worth more money, or you can invest for things that will pay you, and that you'll earn X amount from, this year to next year. Well, that's kind of how these traditional IRAs work as well. It's unknown taxes, because there are assumptions. There are assumptions that taxes will be the same in 30 years or 20 years or whenever you take the money out. You don't know what taxes will be, right? And I think it's funny when you're talking about, you mentioned earlier, you said that in the 70s, when they started these IRAs, they said you'll be in a lower tax bracket. And they also, you said, you thought they set it up maybe as a set and forget. Like, we're not even thinking about inflation. And that's very interesting because in 1971, we completely came off the gold standard, right? So we hadn't experienced any type of inflation to the extent that we've experienced it since we totally came off of the inflation. Now, somebody might argue with me and say, yeah, we've always had inflation, but let's not talk about consumer price inflation. Let's not talk about how much your eggs cost or your TV cost. That's not real. Let's talk about how much education costs or your vehicles cost or your home cost. Let's talk about real assets and how much those cost. And that matters when we're talking about investments, because again, if investment assets are being inflated, well, then that also means your tax bill is being inflated, right? AAA. And in real terms and nominal terms, instead of paying $100,000 in taxes, well, if we have a 5X, which we have had in inflation or asset inflation, that means now that bill is $500,000 or $600,000. So it felt good, the account went up, but a tax bill of $100,000 or in nominal terms, $500,000 or $600,000 is a big difference, right, AAA?
It's huge. Right. Exactly. And spending power is part of the key that, is in there. But, that's where, and you never know what the government is going to say with their rules and regulations. And, there was a very wise man decades ago who said, don't invest in IRAs, don't invest in Roth IRAs, because the government can always come in and change the rules. And then you're stuck because you invested this way. And, and that's a real interesting thing. We're going to be talking about in a future show on Trump, new Trump accounts coming out. And that's one of the thoughts that came to me with that. Okay. You start investing in one of the new Trump accounts and then rules change. And then what? But that's another story for another day.
I'm surprised you don't know this already. The IRS, the government can change rules on anything. Not just IRAs and 401ks or traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs. They can change it on ownership. They can change it on your land. They can change it on inflation. They can change it on whatever they want, as I think we've been seeing lately from some of the things that have been coming out.
Right. And I recognize that, but there's kind of like an order, right? If they're going to change rules on anything, I think they're going to change rules on 401ks first. And then if they're going to change it, they're going to change your IRAs and then Roth IRAs and then into non-qualified and other things like that, right? And so it's just first order, the sequences of what they're going to change the order, the rules in. Kind of thing. So anyway, but it's kind of like there's no free lunch, right? With the government, there is no set rules because they can change it, next week. But you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy, and today's topic is Fire Your IRA Silent Partner and Mastering Roth IRA Conversions. And we'd love to be able to educate you further on these things. And we have this white paper that we're giving away today, this paper that will educate you further on Roth IRA contributions versus Roth IRA conversions. And there's conversions and contributions, right? And there's two different ways you can get money in. And this paper will explain the difference between the two so that you can take it and move into the future and understand what you can do, what you can't do. Because so many times people say to us, oh, I didn't know I can contribute to a Roth. Well, you may not be able to contribute to a Roth, but that doesn't mean that you can't do a Roth contribution or conversion, rather. And so we love to put this in your hand. Call us at 800-725-7616 for your free copy of Understanding Roth IRA Contributions and Conversions. 800-725-7616 for your free copy. Call now.
The biggest mistake retirees make is not switching from the growth model to the income model. Good retirement plan is having enough income to last the rest of your life. Any problem in retirement, it can be solved with income. The biggest concern that retirees have is running out of money. The second biggest concern is that they want to grow their money so that they don't run out of money. And they think it's synonymous when it's not necessarily the case. People don't know what they don't know. And they're not going to know unless somebody tells them. People think that the only thing that they can do to grow their money is by investing for growth in the stock market. And it's very much a herd mentality. but you can only get growth when the market goes up. When they invest for income, they're able to get money no matter what happens. I'm Andrew Agemy, founder and CEO of Agemy Financial Strategies. We've been helping people enjoy stress-free retirement for over 30 years.
You're locked on to Financial Strategy with Andrew and Daniel Agemy.
So when is $1,000 that you take out of your IRA or your account really worth $1,000? Well, because if you take it out of your IRA, you take out $1,000 and maybe you end up with $700 after taxes. Versus if you take it out of a Roth IRA, you take out $1,000 and you actually have $1,000 spendable. I'm Andrew Agemy.
And I'm Daniel Agemy, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today, we're talking about fire your IRA silent partner. And AAA, those who were with us in the first segment, found out that silent partner is, unfortunately, the IRS, the government, the tax man on your tax-deferred accounts. At some point in time, when you decide it's time to take money out of that, you retired, you want to pay for something, you want to pay for a nice vacation, you want to buy a home, you want to do any of these things we see people take money out of their IRAs for, somebody's got their hand in your pocket and they're your silent partner, whether you like it or not.
Right. Exactly the case. And the question is, how can you pay as little in taxes as legally possible? And, many times when we're dealing with people who are approaching retirement, they're making a lot of money. So we encourage them to continue to put money into their traditional 401ks and such. And then once they retire in their bracket and their income goes down some, that's when we start especially looking at the ability of doing Roth conversions to be able to help provide for them in the future. Very significant thing to be looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, AAA. There's something that some people call retirement income valley, right? And so if people don't know, at some point in time on your IRAs, your 401ks, there's some point in time where you have to start taking money out of the accounts. You're required to take it out. And so if you got $1 million, $2 million in IRA money or 401k money, then you could end up having a $40,000 to $80,000 tax liability. It doesn't matter if you need that money or not. You have to take that money out of the accounts and pay taxes on it. Those are called RMDs, right? Required minimum distributions. And so that required minimum distribution age keeps getting pushed out further and further. And what that has done is created this little valley where people stop working, so they're not getting earned income, but they're not required to take that big lump sum of money out yet. And so that potentially creates an opportunity for a lot of people where they're not working and they can convert money. They can convert money without taking a big tax hit.
Right. Convert it from their IRAs, pay the tax on it when they take them out of their IRAs, and convert it to Roth IRA, which is tax-free because they've already paid the taxes on it. And now it's going to grow on a tax-free basis. They still have their money, but they are able to grow it tax-free, which is a big deal. Having that valley, that retirement income valley, is a great reprieve for people between those ages where they can take advantage of that. And why is so significant? What I want to say to people right up front, Daniel, is that, especially if you're married, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket while you're both alive. When one of you passes away, the others, the remainder, the person that the spouse that survives is going to be in a higher bracket, going from married filing jointly into a single bracket where the taxes are going to be higher. And, many times taxes are higher in the future, even if you're single, because you're going to have to start taking more money out of your Roth IRA, out of your traditional 401k IRA than you need. And that is also, taxable and taxing. in more ways than one.
Yeah, AAA, there's pros, there's cons, and there's sweet spots, right? You get into a lot of the sweet spots because there's very, very important things people have to know about if they're even thinking about these Roth conversions. And one thing is some people don't need to do them at all because they're not paying any taxes, and it doesn't make any sense to take yourself up into a higher tax bracket because maybe someday you'll have to pay taxes. So that's the first one, is these aren't for everybody. These are for a very specific set of people, and this is very much based on your personal situation, your goals, how much money you have, how much money you make, how much money you're going to make in retirement, and what you're doing with the money, because some people are giving their money to charity when they pass away. And if you're giving your money to charity, why would you pay tax on it and then give tax-free money to charity that gets it in charity? So it really depends. So this is not for everybody. But what we do want to do here is point out some of the pros, some of the cons, and get the gears going in your heads so you know if it makes sense for your personal situation.
Exactly. And, a couple of things I want to say up front here too is, number one is this, don't try this at home. But the second thing is that many times people will go their CPAs, accountants or whatever, and ask them about Roth conversions, and they'll say, "Oh, you'll never get your money back in your lifetime." Well, that's not the reason to do it. I mean, there's other, to do it. If you're going to do it, there's more reasons than that to do it, and especially you have to take into consideration if you're married, it's a different situation than if you're not married. So yes, if you're not married, you may never get your money back. Like Daniel was just saying, if you're going to give it to charity, that'd be foolish to convert it to Roth IRA and then give it to charity. But if you are married, that's a whole different situation. If you do have children, that's a whole different situation, or grandchildren that you want to give that to. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is Fire Your IRA, a silent partner, and mastering Roth IRA conversion. We want you to be able to understand what's involved, not that we're recommending it, but that it's an idea for you to pursue and to look at. We love to be able to talk with you further, educate you further on that. And in order to do that, we have a special book today called More Life Than Money. How Not to Outlive Your Retirement Savings. And we love to be able to put this book in your hand. It's an easy read book by our friend Anthony Sicaro, Esquire. And Anthony has written this book in a way that is, like I said, it's easy for you to read and be able to help you to be able to put into practice some simple items in making sure that you can retire and stay retired. We'd love to put that book in your hand for free to the next 5 first-time callers at 800-725-7616. 800-725-7616 for your free copy. Call now. Daniel, as we look at this pros, cons, and sweet spot of, Roth conversions, that is a very important thing. And that's why when I do a Roth conversion analysis, that's those the kinds of things that I'm looking at. Okay, where's the sweet spot? Where's the pros? Where's the cons? Because it is so specific. It's like a custom suit or a custom house or a custom dress. It's so specific to that person that you've got to get it just right to do the most, to get the best bang for the buck.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times people will hear about these things and they will say, that sounds like the coolest thing ever. Like, I don't ever have to pay taxes on my again. Pay taxes on that money again. I mean, think about how many times you pay taxes on money, right? You earn it, you pay taxes. You spend it, you pay taxes. You save it, you spend taxes. Everything, it's tax over and over and over again. And so the thought of, hey, I just pay taxes on this, I convert it from my IRA that I've never paid taxes on, put it into a Roth IRA, and I'll never pay taxes on that money again. That is a cool thing. But like you said, AAA, there are some very important things to watch out for. Now, some of the benefits are, well, you're not going to pay taxes on it. It grows tax-free. You don't have to take required minimum distributions anymore. The tax comes out tax-free. It's the best come out tax-free as far as it doesn't even show up on your tax return. So things like Social Security tax, IRMAA, things like that, it doesn't affect. You can take as much out as you want. You can convert as much as you want. There's a lot of benefits for converting.
Right.
but you do really need to be careful on the amount you convert and when you convert, right, AAA? Also, how do you pay the tax on the money when you convert? Because if you, for example, if you convert 100,000 and you say, well, I've got a tax liability of $25,000, does it really make sense to hold taxes and then only end up with $75,000 in your new Roth? Because now you don't have as much capital in the Roth tax-free working for you. And will you ever catch up? Well, it depends. So there's a lot of things we'd like to point out to people to watch out for, right, AAA?
That's right. And let's just talk. I'd like to just speak to that just for a minute, Daniel, because earlier, a few moments ago, I said, CPAs, bean counters, accountants, they're going to tell you you're never going to make that money back. And part of their presupposition is that you're going to take, like what you just said, you're going to take the tax money from that account and you'll never get the money back. But what I like to do is make sure that when we're paying the taxes, we're either using the required minimum distribution that you cannot convert a required minimum distribution. You can use it to pay the taxes, but you can't use it to convert. So that's an option. The other thing is to be able to, if people have after-tax money, a lot of people have saved up, invested in other things, and we do that all the time, right? Take from their after-tax money that has no special tax benefit to it, that as it grows more, they're going to get taxed more. And we convert that money to Roth IRA by using that money to pay the tax on the Roth, so the Roth has more money. So there's these strategies and intricacies that can make all the difference in the world. Yeah, that is huge, AAA, because if you say, well, you had $100,000 working for you, let's say earning 6-7%, and now you have $75,000 in a Roth working for you at 6-7%, it's going to take a long time to get back to $100,000 just to be even. But what you're saying is one strategy is you got $100,000 sitting in the bank too. It's earning you nothing. Right. So you're saying, well, why not take $25,000 of that, give that to the IRS, end up with $100,000 in your Roth now earning 6 to 7%. And you know what? It's almost like you took money out of your bank account and put it in your Roth IRA, which typically you can't do. And that's a strategy. That's not just, I'm doing a Roth because somebody said to do a Roth. That's a real strategy, AAA. Exactly. And there'll be so many times people will hear a show like this and they'll say, well, I need to do a Roth conversion. Well, again, I want to say, don't try this at home. There's too many stipulations, intricacies involved with this. And we haven't even talked about IRMAA yet, which is another aspect. But these brackets and how to do it. And I've brought these ideas to people in the past. They went out and did it on their own, and then they paid all kinds of big taxes and yelled at me because they paid big taxes. I said, well, I thought you were going to have me help you do it. I didn't know you were going to do it yourself. I was just giving you pieces of the information. And, as much as we're saying mastering Roth IRA conversion, when we want you to understand to be able to master all the questions you need to ask for doing a Roth IRA contribution, because you can't master the Roth contribute, or excuse me, the IRA conversion yourself as easily without years of knowledge and study and whatnot as professionals does. So don't try this at home. Make sure that you use a professional to help you with that from that standpoint. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is fire your IRA silent partner, mastering Roth IRA conversions. And today, so many times people will ask, can I retire? How can I retire? When can I retire? How much do I need to retire? They have a lot of questions and they want to get out of their job as quickly as possible. Well, we can help with that. And it starts with what I call an RRR conversation, Retirement Readiness Report conversation. It's a 10-minute phone call or so, depending how much we get involved with, to see if you're a candidate to get the retirement risk report fulfilled for you so that you can see how much you need to retire, when you need to retire, how much you want to retire, and all those things that are associated with that. So if you want the RRR conversation, please call now and ask for the RRR conversation, Retirement Readiness Report conversation, 800-725-7616, 800-725-7616. Call now for your RRR conversation.
Do you have any questions for me about retirement income source?
I just want to make sure I can invest well enough to have enough income, enjoy my retirement.
We build a custom retirement plan based around your income and goals.
How do I know I can trust you?
Building trust does take time, but our investment advisory arm is comprised of fiduciaries, which means our obligation is to you. So you can enjoy your retirement with a little more income stability.
I'm in.
That's 2 out of 3.
This is Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy.
Being a gearhead, when I went to carnivals and places like that, I always loved to get on the bumper cars. And what I liked about the bumper cars is being able to hit people and knock them, sailing, right? But sometimes, as hard as you try to knock somebody sailing, it just works out in such a way where you just come and you just tap their bumper. I'm Andrew Agemy.
And I'm Daniel Agemy, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today, we're talking about Fire Your IRA Silent Partner. And AAA, we want people to be able to learn about mastering Roth or IRA conversions, right? Making taxable money tax-free. And what do bumper cars, I think I know where you're going here. What do bumper cars have to do with tax-free money, AAA? Are you buying bumper cars with your tax-free money?
Oh, no, not at all. It's just that the idea of, it's called bumping the bracket is what I want to bring across for that, right? And it's like that soft bump that you do to, it's not one where you bang and you hit the car the other, but it's one where you just come up and you just basically tap it, right? So that's the idea with tax brackets. We want to bump that next bracket. We don't want to go into that next bracket. We just want to come up against it and stop there, ideally. And, so like if somebody is normally in the 22% tax bracket, let's go to the top of the 22% tax bracket without going into the 24% tax bracket and paying higher taxes. So, that illustration, right? Let's say somebody's normal income is there's still $50,000 left in the 22% bracket before they hit the 24% bracket. Well, convert $50,000 of an IRA to Roth IRA, which would bring you up to that point, and without taking you into the next bracket, so you're not paying extra tax on the thing, right? And this is like you said earlier. You said, if you have, you don't convert a big lump sum, right? If you have $2 million, don't convert $1 million at a time, because you're going to give a bunch of that away in taxes. But this is where you can get kind of like the most bang for your buck, so to speak.
Yeah. And maybe you do want to go past that first bracket, AAA.
Maybe.
That's something you need to make. You need to decide on purpose, not find out later, right? So the way that our tax system works, right? It's in brackets, and a lot of people don't. They forget about this, or they don't fully understand it, because we talk about what are you paying in taxes? And that's usually the average, right? So I pay 15% in taxes. Well, that's not even a bracket. So how are you paying 15% in taxes? Well, it's because it's an average through each bracket. So as you hit a tier of earnings, the new money, so when you hit $100,000, right, the money you earn over $100,000 goes from being taxed at 22% to 24%, right? That's an example. Right. But as long as you stay under that $105,000 for a single person, you're paying cheap taxes. You're paying 22%. So if you're making $60,000, you could take another $40,000 taxable income and stay in that 22% cheap taxes. That makes a lot of sense. But that's what you're talking about when you're talking about the brackets. It's not like I pay 15% on my taxes. So that's not even a real bracket, right? So looking inside those IRS brackets, and it's a scaling number. As you make more money, the bracket jumps up, and any money above whatever that bracket is taxed at a different rate.
Yeah. Yeah. And, again, folks, don't try this at home. Don't try this on your own. Make sure you get a professional to help you with this, whether a tax professional, a financial professional, somebody that knows what they're talking about, that has done it before, multiple times before, not somebody that's new to it, not young, not somebody that understands the mechanics of it and hasn't really done it, because there's a lot of things to take into consideration with it. And, when we're talking about bumping the bracket aspect, I want to bring in that there's another bracket that we have to be aware of when you're bumping brackets, and that's the IRMAA bracket. Now,
all right. Hold on. Let me stop you there, AAA. This people need to pay attention to. You cannot talk about doing Roth IRAs. You cannot talk about conversions without understanding the IRMAA and the Social Security. These are the things people miss all the time. And what AAA is about to say is so vitally important, because this changes every single thing about conversions.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the thing that gets people in trouble so many times. IRMAA, IRMAA, stands for income-related Medicare adjusted amount. That's what it is. Income-related monthly adjustment amount for your Medicare insurance. So this is when people, I call this the 65-year-old tax, because people who are younger than 65 years old are not going to be paying this tax. But I'm gonna stop there for a minute to give a station identification. You listen to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy, and today's topic is Fire Your IRA Silent Partner and Mastering Roth IRA Conversions. And today we have a paper that we love to be able to put in your hand that be able to help you prepare for retirement. It's called Essential Building Blocks of Retirement, helping you to understand how to think about retirement, what you're going to need to know about retirement, and what your expenses will be like in retirement. Simple, easy read brochure that would be you'll enjoy and be able to learn more. You can have it for free by calling us at 800-725-7616, 800-725-7616 for your free copy of Essential Building Blocks of Retirement. And we love to put that in your hand. Call now, 800-725-7616. All right. Well, today we're talking about finding your IRA silent partner, and how you do that is with the idea of getting rid of Uncle Sam, paying the tax now on a little bit of money compared to the tax later on a lot of money. And we're talking about Roth conversions today. And when doing Roth conversions, we just talked about the aspect of the brackets, bumping the bracket, and then we're starting to talk about IRMAA, bumping the IRMAA bracket, and understanding IRMAA, which is the income-related monthly adjustment amount. So
it's a Medicare surcharge.
Yeah,
it's a Medicare surcharge.
Exactly, and it's an increase in premium, and so whether it's premium or it's tax, you have to pay more because of your income. Because your income's high enough. And, first of all, what they do with this is they look back 2 years. So when you're 60, the amount of money that you make when you're 63 years old is going to affect what your Medicare premiums are going to be 2 years later when you're 65 and you go on Medicare. And there's always a 2-year look back period kind of thing that you're trying to stay up with. And my goal, I have clients who are paying this when they become our clients. I tell them my goal is to get you so that you're not paying that extra tax, and that you're getting into paying, as usual, paying as little tax as legally possible. Well, there's the point behind this is there's brackets for this as well as tax brackets. So it's a different bracket that we want to bump the bracket on this, but again, not push over into, and we have to understand how it works, and because it's also, it's similar to tax brackets, but it's different. Right? Because it's got a bracket to it, but the definition of the bracket is a different definition. Like, if the bracket starts at $206,000, that's a modified adjusted gross income. Whereas the tax brackets are usually adjusted gross income, not modified adjusted gross income. And modified adjustment gross income basically adds back in things that you're able to deduct and whatnot underneath the adjusted gross income model. So it's a little bit complicated. Like I say, don't try this at home, but it's something that needs to be considered seriously when you're doing Roth conversions. And to some people, it matters. To some people, it doesn't matter. Well, the key is making sure that you get the right balance, the right mix for you.
Yeah, AAA. There's really two things people need to be aware of with the IRMAA or the Medicare surcharge, and it would be looking at, in preparation, if you're trying to retire early, in preparation, maybe you want to get your income down, so you want to look at Roth conversions so that your income's down once you retire and you start taking that. Or two, you're already taking it and you're looking at doing conversions, and so you want to watch in those brackets. But like you said, this to understand this, you need a CPA who really understands this stuff, a financial person that really understands this software that they use, and they've done it before, because this is a way people can make mistakes and get themselves into some huge trouble that they didn't realize. And those accountants that say Roth conversions don't make a lot of sense, sometimes it's because they have seen people make huge mistakes and it ends up costing them an extra $500 a month because they converted and it dropped them into a higher bracket. And now their premiums went up. And so if you're thinking about Roth conversions, keep that in mind. I don't think we want to get any more detail on that, AAA, because this isn't explaining what to do with IRMAA. This is just pointing out to people that they need to be aware of that. How about Social Security, AAA? How do Roth conversions affect people's Social Security?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, Daniel. And Social Security, depending how much income you have, is taxed at different rates. Basically, there's three brackets where I say you have household security tax. The lower bracket, the people have low income, and so they're not paying any tax on their Social Security. The higher bracket is the people have so much income that they're paying tax on 85% of their Social Security. That's the maximum that you can pay on Social Security. But then you have the middle bracket of people that, depending where they're coming in at, they could get hurt, right? So real quick here, if you have $10,000, if you take out an extra $5,000 in your IRA, you might pay tax if you're in that middle section on an extra $10,000 for taking $5,000 more, because you have more Social Security being taxed. And that is another bracket, Daniel, that, depending where they are, can affect things negatively and make the Roth conversion something a little bit more to think about and analyze it, as opposed to just very simple. And that's why they need a professional.
AAA, that may be why some people just go with the blanket statement, Roth conversions don't make sense, because when you're trying to manage these three brackets at the same time, and it could really completely change the analysis of the conversion, because it costs you so much to do the conversion if you get one of these things wrong. I could see why some people just say it doesn't make sense and they don't even want to be bothered by it. But for other people who it's important to and who are willing to do the work and check out all these brackets, it definitely could make sense. Again, Roth conversions don't make sense for everybody, and everybody doesn't need to do them. But for those who it does make sense for, it's like one of the absolute best things you could do when it makes sense for you.
Right. Exactly. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is Fire Your IRA Silent Partner, Mastering Roth IRA Conversions. People don't know what people don't know. So we are always trying to educate you with some extra information. So today's extra information is, right now, we have this retirement readiness checklist. And what this is a checklist to go down to see, if you are ready to retire financially, or what you need to do to put together things to be able to help you get ready for that. Whether it's making sure that you have income planning in place. So security strategy is good. Your healthcare, long-term care is good. Your tax efficiency, all these different things. How about your investment allocation, making sure your investments are allocated properly, or your estate planning needs? A lot of different things that go into it. We love to give you this retirement readiness checklist. Ask for it by name, but calling us at 800-725-7616. 800-725-7616 for your free copy, no obligation, retirement readiness checklist. Yours for free by calling us at 800-725-7616. Call now.
This is Financial Strategy with Andrew and Daniel Agemy.
AAA, we're trying out a new segment here, and this has to do with some of our listeners' questions. So we're going to try this out, see how people like it. But our first listener question is, AAA, what do Roth IRAs pay today?
Yeah, I get that one all the time. So, we've done different segments, and maybe we need to redo the segment, Daniel, like on registrations. But real quick, Roth IRAs or traditional IRAs or 401ks, however you invest them, you can invest them any way that you want to invest them. Basically, what the difference is between them is how they're registered. Kind of like the license plate you put in your car. In Connecticut, you can have a commercial plate, you can have a passenger plate, you can have an RV plate, and what do those do? They say the registration says who owns the vehicle, what you can, who's going to pay the tax on it, who's responsible for it, and that kind of thing. So same way with Roth IRA, it's a registration that you put on an investment vehicle as opposed to a license plate you put on a motor vehicle. So
you can take that. You could take that license plate, put it on an RV, put it on a sports car, put it on a dump truck. So it'd be like having different investments. You could have a really robust investment, like a dump truck is a very robust vehicle, or a bus is a very robust vehicle, or you can put it on a Ferrari, which you hit a little bump and the whole thing blows apart, which would be like a very aggressive investment, right, AAA?
Right, exactly. So, and that's where, our model is to be able to invest in those things that are going to make money and pay you no matter what happens. And the market goes up, market goes down, you're getting paid. And you may get paid more or less at different times, depending what's happening, but it's consistency that counts. And so we recommend, especially for people in and close to retirement, to look at consistent investment vehicles as opposed to those ones that are specially minded or work in ways that maybe are for younger people rather than for mature people.
So Roth IRAs don't pay anything. It depends on what investments you pick inside of those. And if you're near or close to retirement, you should be looking at things that actually pay you so you know what you're getting paid, as opposed to just saying, well, things have done this over time, or we hope that things will look like this in the future. All right. Can I do a conversion if I'm still working or if I'm working part-time?
Oh, Well, this gets into that paper given away on Roth IRAs, contributions versus conversions, right? So conversions, there aren't any limitations to, you don't have to work. You can be retired and you can do a Roth conversion, but the big, and there's no limits to the Roth conversions as far as what the government puts on it. There might be, according to the brackets that we were talking about earlier in the show today, but you can, you can convert $1 million if you wanted to, and pay a lot of taxes, but that's a possibility. But the thing that comes into play is contributions. Okay. So there's contributions, two ways to get money into a Roth IRA. One is by contributing it to the Roth IRA, and that you have to have earned income. And I'm just going to keep it very simple. I'm not going to go into all the intricacies of that, but earned income, even though Social Security, you earn Social Security, it's not earned income. Earned income is a paycheck. You went to work and you got a paycheck. You earned that paycheck. That's what the government is considering earned income for contribution to a Roth IRA. And if you're younger than 50 years old, the max you can put into a Roth IRA in that manner, if you meet the income qualifications, is $7,500 a year, unless it's part of your 401k plan. And then it goes it goes along with the parameters of the 401k plan. And if you're over 50 years old in 2026, you can put in as much as $8,600, and actually you could even do more if you're like 61 to 63 years old or somewhere in those areas. But that's the idea. So contribution is you have to be earning money to contribute. Conversion, you don't have to be working to contribute.
So with contributions, you need earned income from a job, and there is income requirements. But if you are converting, there's no limits. You could convert as little or as much as you want, and you don't have to have any earned income on those. It's actually better if you don't have earned income, because you're going to be in a lower bracket, right, AAA?
Correct. Yep. That's the idea there. And let me just jump in here. So you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Agemy. Today's topic is firing your IRA silent partner, mastering Roth IRA conversions. And we love coming to you and educating you on the things that you need to know. Today we have a book called More Life Than Money by our friend Anthony Sicaro. That is a very easy read book, but yet gives a lot of good information for how you can make sure that you don't run out of money during your lifetime, how you can retire and stay retired. We love to put this book in your hand for free. It's list price of $25. We'll put it in your hand for free. So the next 5 first-time callers at 800-725-7616. 800-725-7616 for your free book, More Life Than Money. Call now. All right, Daniel, what's the next question we have on this today?
AAA, our last question today is it worth converting if I plan to leave a lot of money to charities?
Generally not, right? Because if you have IRA money and the charity becomes the beneficiary of the IRA, they will receive that money without paying taxes. And so, you'll get away without paying the tax on the money, and you're giving truly tax-free money away to those charities at that point. So why pay the tax and then give tax-free money to the charity, like Daniel mentioned early in the show, if you're, if they're already going to be getting it tax-free. So, that is probably, that's not the best way to go around that. And achieve that from that standpoint. Primarily for those when you have somebody living after you that you want to give it to, brothers, sisters, children, spouse, nephews and nieces, live people that you're going to give to, generally speaking, is the rule of thumb.
Yeah. Especially if you have a spouse, because as you've mentioned a few times, AAA, if one of you passes away, then you go into a higher tax bracket. So it's cheaper to convert while there's two of you filing jointly. And there's also something you can do if you want to give a lot of money to charity. You can either do charitable contributions and basically pay the charities right out of your IRAs while you're alive. And that can also count towards your required minimum distribution. So that's a cool strategy if you're very charity minded. Yeah.
Yeah, that works really great. That's a great thing. And that's one of the things that we do when we're analyzing people's accounts and how for them to pay as little tax as legally possible. Because if they give it straight, if they are charitable minded and they give it straight out of the IRA, it makes so much sense because it doesn't hit the tax return and it doesn't count toward MAGI or any of that, modified adjusted gross income or any of that stuff. So it's a way that they can convert, they can give, they can still take money out of their IRA, give it away, but still convert a lot if that's what they're wanting to do. So
yeah. So AAA, some people really want to get rid of that silent partner. There's that person or that entity that hasn't contributed anything for you. Yeah. But they're going to have their hand in the pocket either at death, RMDs, or when you want to retire, you want to start spending the money you saved up. So it's all about looking ahead, right? It's all about looking ahead and planning. We talked about 3 brackets, AAA. There's 3 different brackets that people need to watch out for. The IRMAA bracket, the Social Security bracket, and the tax bracket. And those overlap in some ways, and they're different in some ways. And so that's something that people really need to look at and consider when they're thinking about Roth IRAs. Sometimes it's better when you're younger to do these things because you don't have as many brackets to watch out for. But you're typically earning a lot of money or you need that money, right? You don't have $100,000 sitting in the savings account to pay the taxes in our example earlier. So it's really unique and individualized.
Exactly.
One thing is everyone doesn't need to do a Roth conversion. Because some people, as we talked about, are already in a very low bracket and they will never pay taxes. They just don't have enough money to have to worry about that in the future. And other people, there's some very strategic planning that can be done in anticipation for retirement, for starting Social Security, or for required minimum distributions.
Right. You know, and that is a very important point, is that people need to understand that as you think ahead toward things, you can put yourself in a much better position because you can implement strategies that will help you, as opposed to so many times people will say, oh, when I'm ready to retire, Andrew, I'll give you a call. No, that's like too late at that point. Yeah, sure, I can do stuff with that, but now that you're tying my hands, as the earlier you start, if you're, 10 years, 5 years away from retirement, that's the best time to start. But here's one thing for you and our listening audience to remember as we finish up today's show, is that Roth conversions aren't as much about, what you're, beating the stock market as much as they're about beating the tax code. So if you want your retirement to be stress-free, invest for the I more than for the G, and don't forget the T for taxes. So if, like so many people, you're wondering, can I retire? When can I retire? How much do I need to retire with? Well, we'd love to be able to tell you and help you with that. We have a retirement risk report that we can put together for you. But before that, we need to have a retirement readiness report conversation to see if you actually are ready to do that retirement risk report, and if it would benefit you, if you're a candidate for that. So please call us at 800-725-7616 to get those questions answered. Can you retire? When can you retire? How much do you need to retire on? Have you saved enough? Well, we'd love to be able to help you analyze that and answer those questions from that standpoint. So with that, we certainly appreciate you guys joining us here on this show. And remember, any place, when you listen to podcasts as well, you can re-listen to this on our podcast and on our website, agemy.com. And if you want your retirement to be stress-free, remember to invest more for the I rather than the G. And don't forget the T.